Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into something absolutely mind-bending. We're looking at how an ancient meditation practice, specifically one called Jing, literally bridges the gap between everyday human biology and the crazy world of quantum physics. We're going to trace its effects, starting from a simple physical muscle movement, cascading all the way down to the subatomic activity happening right now inside your cells.
So let's kick things off with a seemingly impossible question. Can a simple, conscious physical contraction actually alter your quantum state? I know, it sounds straight out of science fiction. But by the time we wrap up the synthesis of our source material, you're going to see exactly how a basic physical movement cascades through your neuroendocrine system, hits your mitochondria, and ultimately reshapes your subatomic reality.
Section 1. The Jing practice. Let's start our journey right at the physical, macroscopic level to understand exactly what this practice is all about. Now, the crucial thing to grasp here is that Jing is a highly mechanical physical process. This isn't just about sitting quietly and clearing your mind. Practitioners physically gently contract the huyin, or the vaginal opening, essentially the muscles of the perineum. Then, using focused, conscious intention, they imagine drawing sexual energy smoothly up the spine, all the way into the brain, treating it almost like a healing balm. Finally, without holding their breath, they relax and let that energy drop right down into the lower abdomen, or the dantian. Think of it like plugging in to charge your body's internal battery. The main goal, according to Chinese medical tradition, is literally returning sexual vitality to repair the brain. Section 2. Anatomy of Mind-Body Healing. Zooming in on the biological level, let's look at how this physical contraction actually rewires your internal anatomy. Because the physical act of drawing that energy up the spine, it triggers a massive physiological response. Let's be real, the modern world keeps most of us stuck in a stressed, sympathetic state. We're talking high cortisol, elevated adrenaline, and a hyperactive amygdala, the brain's fear center. Well, Jing forces a hard shift into a restorative, parasympathetic state, and the source literature actually shows that this type of focused meditation literally alters brain structures. It decreases the reactivity and even the volume of that amygdala, strengthens the prefrontal cortex, and normalizes your HPA axis, which is basically the feedback loop controlling your entire stress response. You're not just relaxing, you're structurally rewiring your brain for resilience. Section 3. Metabolism and Psychological Health. Moving even deeper into the body, we find that these anatomical shifts trigger a massive cascade of metabolic and psychological benefits. It turns out, calming the mind does incredible things for your blood. What's truly fascinating here is the rapid-fire metabolic overhaul your body goes through during this practice. By dialing down that sympathetic nervous system output, you aren't just feeling a bit calmer, you are actively lowering LDL cholesterol, decreasing fasting glucose, and dropping triglyceride levels. You're dramatically improving insulin sensitivity, which actively reduces the risk of metabolic syndrome and type 2 diabetes. Plus, your body pumps up its secretion of melatonin, which acts as a really powerful antioxidant and immunoregulator. You are essentially bringing your entire neuroendocrine immune network back online and normalizing it. So, how exactly do you lock into this state? Well, the sources point to a very specific frequency, 0.1 hertz. By syncing your breathing to a 0.1 hertz rhythm, which breaks down to about 6 breaths per minute, you absolutely maximize your heart rate variability. Hitting this specific resonance frequency physically synchronizes your brain waves and your heart rhythms. It builds this profound emotional resilience against chronic stress and basically allows your body's biofield to completely stabilize. Section 4. The mind-mitochondria connection. All right, let's zoom in again right down to the cellular level and see how this builds the bridge between the mind and energy. Because none of this metabolic repair we just talked about can happen without a serious power source. We're looking at a multi-system integrated response that links your psychology directly to mitochondrial energy transformation. Basically, the subjective experience of meditation, your actual thoughts and intentions, directly dictates how your cellular batteries transform oxygen and food into usable energy. Your mind and your mitochondria are in constant, real-time communication. Your psychological state literally gives your cells instructions on exactly how to spend their energy. And this brings us to a really vital concept called allostasis. Allostasis is basically your body's anticipatory adaptation. It's the system ensuring your physiological state matches your mental state. But here's the catch. Stress responses take a massive amount of energy. When you're stressed out, your mitochondria have to divert energy just to deal with that perceived threat.
But Juan Jingbu meditation steps in and redirects that mitochondrial energy completely away from stress. It pumps it right back into longevity, promoting growth, maintenance, and cellular repair, which researchers refer to as GMR processes.
Section 5, Quantum Biology and Consciousness. Okay, now we are scaling all the way down to the subatomic level. This is where biology meets quantum mechanics, and honestly, where the ancient concept of qi begins to look a whole lot like modern physics. Quantum effects like entanglement, coherence, superposition, and tunneling, they aren't just abstract physics concepts stuck in some laboratory vacuum chamber. They are actively happening right now in biological systems. Science has actually observed quantum superposition, coherence, entanglement, and tunneling in processes like photosynthesis, enzyme catalysis, and even human neurotransmission. And our sources suggest that these quantum effects are significantly amplified within your own body when you enter deep, coherent states of meditation. Now, this gets even more fascinating when we introduce a framework called Zero Energy Ontology, or ZEO. In this model, physical matter isn't just some solid block. It's a highly dynamic system where what we call quantum jumps actually operate as fundamental moments of consciousness. So inside this framework, your conscious intention during the Juan Jingbu practice is literally triggering these quantum jumps. Your consciousness acts as the hardware of living matter, actively directing the flow of energy right down at the subatomic level. So how exactly does that quantum energy turn into tangible biological healing? Well, it happens through biophotons. Biophotons are these ultra-weak light emissions produced by our cells, and they're closely tied to our energy metabolism and EEG activity. It turns out mindfulness training actually enhances biophoton coherence. Through a mechanism where quantum neutrality shifts into a specific action, the raw energy of a quantum field gets converted into usable biological energy. That upward flow of energy described in the ancient Juan Jingbu practice, it directly parallels this macroscopic quantum coherence, transferring vital, highly organized information from cell to cell. Section 6, the unified biofield. To really bring this all together, we have to stop looking at the human body as just a machine made of meat and start seeing it as an integrated, unified field of energy. As our sources highlight, the ancient wisdom of unity of form and spirit has gained incredible contemporary interpretation through neuroscience, activating each person's inherent self-healing potential. What the ancients traditionally called qi or prana, modern science is now mapping out as a highly unified web. We're talking about a web made of neuroendocrine balance, mitochondrial efficiency, and subatomic quantum coherence. It turns out that this unity of form and spirit isn't just a metaphor, it's a measurable, physiological reality that flips the switch on your inherent self-healing potential. So I'll leave you with this provocative question. If a single mindful breath can rewrite your biology at the subatomic level, what is the true limit of your body's potential? Today, we've seen how just the act of drawing energy up the spine can alter your brain anatomy, balance your hormones, redirect mitochondrial power, and even orchestrate quantum jumps and biophoton coherence. The mechanics of your own consciousness are vastly more powerful than we ever realized. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep exploring the incredible potential of your own mind and body.